Hello everybody, it's me, Nikki, and today I'm here with a wrap-up, a TBR for June, and a little book haul kind of thing. We'll get to that. First, the wrap-up. I only read one book in March. It was not March. January, March, is it May? It's May. Whatever. June is next month? I don't know. Yes, June is next month. I only read one book in May. It was a month, so the book I read was Conan Doyle For the Defense by Margalit Fox. I have a dog on the couch. I'm dog sitting, so if you see any shadows, that's him. The subtitle is How Sherlock Holmes's creator turned real-life detective and freed a man wrongly imprisoned for murder. So this is like a true crime from the 1900s. Let me see if it says... Because the guy got out in like the 1920s. And I think... he was imprisoned in the early 1900s. So this is about a wealthy woman who was brutally murdered in Glasgow in 1908. She was in her house, and it is explained that it's basically a locked room mystery. Like, there were very few people that could have gotten in. She was, I'm not sure if she was antisocial, but she was like suspicious of people. There was a maid and like maybe somebody else who knew how to work these complicated locks. And the police found a convenient suspect in Oscar Slater, an immigrant Jewish card sharp, but he also was like a con man type of thing. He was tried, convicted, and he was sentenced to death, but they did it to hard labor. Arthur Conan Doyle used his methods. It was like 20 years after, so he couldn't he couldn't go into the room where she was murdered and see everything, but he did the best he could, and he did win Slater's freedom. So it talks about, obviously that's the whole thing, but it talks about all the characters, all the real people. Like Oscar gets his background biography, the murdered woman gets her little biography, all of her family and people who know her or worked for her. Arthur Conan Doyle, gets his biography, and they also talk about how he had done something similar earlier in his life to help a young Indian man accused of something like doing something to cows. I can't remember what that was supposed to be. It's my fault. And he got the kid off as well. So, yeah. But in that one, he was able to go to where the supposed crime had happened and really look at everything. There is definitely anti-Semitism towards Oscar. He was convenient because he was Jewish, and they'd just been watching him, and they're like, oh, obviously it was him. There was a horrible use of eyewitnesses, when even in the book there was a case before this that said eyewitnesses were shit, and there were like, the case hung on like 3 eyewitnesses who all later unrecanted their recantation, and it was just a mess. So they were obviously all lying. I've marked a couple of pages here. I think that's 28. If I can learn to count, that'd be great. It says, the fact would not be widely known for years. Miss Gilchrist, that's who died, Marion Gilchrist, told at least one person that week she knew she was going to be murdered. And Arthur Conan Doyle and a few others assume it was some of her relatives that murdered her because, like, they go into it, but essentially nothing was really taken. Like, it also hung on this brooch that the maid said was missing, and then that they sort of found a similar one Oscar sold and then bought back at like a pawn shop, but it wasn't an exact match. But that's basically what the case hung on, and there was something else taken that was like her papers or something. So this woman had a lot of jewelry, which is why they thought it was for robbery, but like nothing was taken. Also, the time period is talked about, like why, besides anti-Semitism, Oscar was so popular a person who did the thing, murderer, whatever. And it was such a miscarriage of justice. Arthur Conan Doyle could have been a cop because he basically thinks like a cop. And then I made another note. Page 113. And this is what some historians have written. In the absence of more definite proof, the medical evidence should have counted for very little. But in the hysterical atmosphere surrounding the trial, Glaister's, I think, air of certainty doubtless influenced the jury. Glaister was like a very well-known doctor in Glasgow. He'd done like a lot of other cases. So obviously the jury knew him. And they added, the case later provided substantial instruction to police cadets in Glasgow as an example of how not to conduct a murder inquiry. I mean, oof, oof, that is like, I love that line. That was like such a line. And then the only thing I wasn't... they have pictures in the book, and they mention this thing that happened. Oscar wrote a note, and he gave it to a friend who was in prison with him, who was leaving, and the guy put it in his tooth, like wound the note up in his false tooth and stuck it in his mouth, so they didn't search him, or if they did, they didn't think of it. And then he took that note to Arthur Conan Doyle. And that's how come Arthur Conan Doyle was like, yeah, okay. So they've got, maps of England and Ireland, and that's her house. That's her street. They do a family tree. The item that was missing... And then there's another set of pictures in the back, which I thought that was fun. Not all the pictures were together. Where is it? Oh, no, there's a third set of pictures. Ugh. Of Arthur Conan Doyle, the kid he helped. Okay, and then there's this. This is the message. The secret message carried to Conan Doyle in the mouth of the paroled convict. I can't read that because it's like a picture of an old thing that was in somebody's mouth. And they make a big deal about it, but I don't think it was ever said what it said in the book. Like, I can't read that. Like, maybe I can make out the PS. Please don't something write or see somebody. I really would like to know what that says. That's all I'm saying. So, yeah. I have to mute something. Sorry about that. So that was like my one thing, and there's obviously not a lot of information about it on the internet, because this is the first time I'd ever heard of it. But otherwise, this was an amazing book, and I would recommend it if you like history and true crime. So, now is my TBR. Haven't done one of these in a while. Obviously, that hasn't been working because I haven't been reading. So I'm going to be doing the Clear Your Shit. It's a readathon. And it's for the whole month of June. And I think this is like a little one. They're going to have another one in November, and I believe they did one before this. There's a whole thing. Just look it up, read it. It's great. I'll link it down below. I'll link to the Twitter. I don't think... I don't think they have an official... There's not like a thing. Whatever. I don't know. I will link the Twitter. So, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9. My favorite number. They do have a thing on the story graph, which I'll also link. So the first prompt is Candles, a book with a white or black cover. And I'm picking Voyage of the Basilisk, which is the... doesn't say, but it's the third in the Lady Trent series. This picks up 6 years after the second book, and Isabella is going to go on to a 2-year trip around the world to study all manner of dragons. She's taking a boat most of the time, and her young son is accompanying her, and of course stuff will happen besides dragons. Looks like there might be some romance, which is very great. I think I've also mentioned this before. For some reason, instead of black, the text is blue. I don't even know if you can tell that that's blue, but that is blue. That was my bookmark. So, I don't know why, unless it's like a messed up copy. I can still read it, so it doesn't matter. And the images in blue don't look that bad either. Doesn't make it hard. Oh, excuse me, I'm tired today. Next is Athema, a book in a genre you don't normally read. I was going to pick something else, but that's like the only book, and I needed it for another prompt, and I don't know if you can double up on prompts, so I'm not going to, but I'm picking To Kill a Mockingbird, and this is a classic. Classic is a genre, right? This is the 50th anniversary edition, and I guess some people don't know what this is about. This is about one child in specific, Scout, and her brother, whose name I've forgotten. A white woman is murdered, and they blame a black man who didn't do it, and their father is a lawyer, Atticus Finch, and he represents the black man, and everybody's like, they're in the South, so everybody's like, Atticus, bro, and he's like, fair trial, fight me. And then that's him explaining to Scout and her brother, like, why it's happening. They're explaining racism, basically. Like, these poor kids, because their father is awesome, they don't really see why. Like, they like don't understand. And then I think, because I remember in the movie, there's a subplot about a neighbor. I'm not sure when. It might be after World War II. It could be even after World War One. I'm not 100% sure. A neighbor came back from a war, and he's having issues, and there are local kids teasing him, and they're not into that, and it's a whole thing, and it's just like a classic that I've never read. So, and apparently there's a sequel, which, no, we're not gonna read. So that's that one. Cauldron, a book featuring magical objects. Now, I didn't know this. I had to go to the Storygraph and look, but one of the books was Raybearer by Jordan Fuico, I believe. And I don't know what the magical object is. Perhaps our main character. I've never read it, so we'll find out. And this is about... Let me pronounce... I'm going to butcher this, I promise you, because I've never heard it spoken out loud. Tarisai. She was raised in isolation by a mysterious absent mother. But when she becomes of age, her mother sends her to the capital to compete to be one of the Crown Prince's council. Her mother also wants her to kill the Crown Prince. So, but Tarisai won't become someone's pawn. So, also, there's a sequel coming out. Or, no, it's not out yet, but yes. First of all, the title interests me. The cover is gorgeous. I mean, her hair, her afro, or what is shaped into an afro is like the stars, like, and then that. So yeah, and the title, or no, sequel. The cover also looks amazing. I haven't actually looked at anything about it because I didn't know. I don't want spoilers. The sequel is called Redemptor, so somebody needs redemption. The cover is also amazing. Her hair is still stars, so yeah. Love it. Next is Bells, a comfort read. This one is a bit weird. I'm picking The Girl on the Velvet Swing, Sex, Murder, and Madness in the Dawn of the 20th Century. It's not that this particular story is a comfort read. It's that this genre, true crime history, is a comfort read. I don't know why. It's fascinating and interesting. So I think I've talked about this before, but this is about Evelyn Nesbit. She was a chorus girl in 1901. My microphone's over here now, so I don't even know if you can hear me. And when she's 16, she loses consciousness and finds herself naked in bed with Stanford White, who is 47. Which in 1901, I mean, it was probably more acceptable than it is now. Telltale spots of blood on the bed sheets told her that he had raped her. She told no one until she told her future husband, Harry Thaw. And Thaw shot and killed White in 1906 before hundreds of theatergoers during a performance at Madison Square Garden, a building White had designed. So then this is the trial. District attorney expected to send her husband to the electric chair, and her Nesbitt's testimony was so explicit and shocking that Teddy friggin' Roosevelt, told the newspapers not to print it verbatim. And then it says Thaw later attempted suicide, and Evelyn Nesbitt struggled for many years to escape an addiction to cocaine. So, I don't know how I first heard about this. But it was when I was looking up something, and I came across it on Wikipedia, as you do. So I am much interested to get all the details and all of that. So yes. Right. Next is Free Space. So read any book. Again, I don't know if prompts can double up. I will have to check. But I'm going to do We Hunt the Flame by Hafsha Faisal. I know I butchered that, and I'm sure I've heard people say her name before, or their name before, but I can't pronounce anything. I apologize. So this is about, again, I'm going to butcher this, Zafira. She's a hunter. She disguises herself as a man so she can brave the forest to feed her people. There's a Prince of Death, assassinating those foolish enough to defy his father, the Sultan. And then both Zafira and Nasir are legends in their kingdom, but they don't want to be. And there's a war brewing. Zafira embarks on a quest to uncover a lost artifact, and Nasir is sent by his father to retrieve the artifact but kill the hunter. So that they meet up and probably have a little fight or become friends. Who knows? But there's also a sequel to this, which Ray River sequel has not come out yet. It says August, but who knows because of the pandemic still. The sequel is We Free the Stars. And it has been published in January. So, we've got to get on that to get the sequel. Ugh, it just seems so interesting. Next is Ancient Grimoire, a book that's 400 pages or more. When you like fantasy, you have a lot of books to pick from. But I have chosen The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. And this is African dragon fantasy is the best way I can explain that. Let's see. A Soxa-inspired world complete with magic, dragons, demons, and curses. There's a sequel to this, I believe. Yes. Oh, there's gonna be 4 books. The second one is The Fires of Vengeance. So it looks like somebody pisses off the dragons, and then the dragons are like, cool, we have fire. Let's see, does this tell me anything? There's no summary on the back, just quotes. So all it says is a world caught in an eternal war. One young man will become his people's only hope for survival. Game of Thrones meets Gladiator in The Rage of Dragons. It was a self-published sensation. Nice. I don't know if you want to compare it to Game of Thrones, but okay, I mean, you do you. So yeah, it's African dragon fantasy. That's all I need. I mean, first of all, look at the cover. The shield, the famous African shield, and with the dragon on it. I mean, come on. I think it's a famous African shield. I don't know if a lot of people know about that. Whatever. Next is Bag of Teeth, a creepy book. So this was going to be the genre I don't normally pick up. This is The Diviners by Libba Bray. It's fantasy, but I think it's also a bit, I've read a little bit, and it's also a bit horror, and I don't usually read horror, but that's also why it's a creepy book, because from what I've read, there's already, like, a demon in it. So, this is about Evie O'Neill. It's 1926. She's been exiled from her hometown to New York. And so she's, like, ready. She talks, in the bit I've read, she talks like she's in the 1920s, so it's authentic. And she goes to live with her Uncle Will, but she's worried he'll discover her secret. She has a supernatural power that has only brought her trouble. She can see into the past a little bit. I'm not sure how far into the past, but only if she's, like, touching something. That's what gets her in trouble. But the police call Will to a crime scene, so Evie realizes her gift can help catch a serial killer. And then there's also other characters in here that they've already introduced in the little bit I've read. So I assume those are the rest of the diviners, and they're all going to come together and solve this crime. And then at the end is an unknown to all, something dark and evil has awakened. Oh, I think I said I'm going to read this one in the daytime because I am a wuss. Next, Incense, a book in your favorite genre. Again, fantasy. I have a ton of fantasy books. I could not pick just one, but eventually it narrowed it down to Iona, which is a fantasy. Dragon Asian fantasy. This is a sequel to Eon, which I have read and I remember. So read Iona while I remember it. So in Eon, the main character's name is Iona. That's what this is. But when she was a boy, it was Eon. She disguised herself as a boy to become a Dragonite apprentice, but she became the Dragon apprentice because she's a woman. Nobody figured that out before. She's the Mirror Dragonite because it's a dragon. Her country saved her. Every time she tries to open herself to the 10 spirit dragons, her abilities twist. So she needs some training, but she, like, because it's the zodiac, rat, dog, ox, all that stuff. So, like, her friend who also got picked, I think he was a rat, he had a teacher, but because there's never been, or there hasn't been a dragon for like 800 years, nobody knows what to do. So she's shit out of luck. So she's on the run from the bad guy in the first book. They have to find the Pearl Emperor so he can get the throne back. But then other stuff happens. So yes, I'm excited about this. Oh, somebody's drawn on the back. Whoever had this before. That's a good drawing. I don't think Iona would listen to headphones, but sure, why not? So yes, I think, yeah. And I do like this cover as well, because the Eon cover was very good. They're just hitting it out of the park on some of these covers. So yeah. And then finally, Chalice, a book with something elemental. Again, I'm not quite sure what that meant, So I went to the Storygraph and I found Girls of Paper and Fire. Paper and Fire are elemental. I have the second one, so I'll probably read that next month. So on the back here it says, in my land we're known as paper girls, easily torn, existing only for others to use and discard, but there's something they've all forgotten about Piper. It can light the world on fire and make it burn. You can't see that because I was holding it off camera. I know how to YouTube. So this is about Lee, L-E-I, I think, is of the paper caste, the lowest caste. So, but she's got golden eyes, so the king's like, hey, let me have that. So they do. She falls in love, however, at the castle. It's a forbidden romance with another girl, I believe. This is LGBT. And enmeshed with an explosive plot to threaten the king's very reigns will force Lee to decide, or Lay, just to decide how far she's willing to go to fight for her freedom. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Oh, and this is by Natasha Ingan. I'm not sure how to say that. I apologize. But yeah, that's what I plan on reading. Hopefully I can do it. I might not read them in that order. Ugh. I'm gonna make a little graphic probably and put it on my Instagram. I had all those books on my leg and now I have marks. Okay, almost done. Finally, we have my little thing I wanted to talk about. So I want to give away for Tor for 3 arcs. So I just wanted to talk about books I've won in giveaways and arcs. This first one, I think I've talked about it before. It's Gimme Everything You Got. It came out in July of 20. I didn't read it because I haven't read it yet because it is set in 1979, so that is modern, and it's about teenagers and soccer, and I mean it sounds interesting, but it's like coming of age stuff, and I've already come of age, and I didn't come of age in 1979, but I'm still gonna give it a shot. That's right, I can't put that over there. This is an uncorrected proof of the Frozen Crown. I won it in a Goodreads giveaway. This came out in January, so I'm very behind. And this is about a princess with a powerful and dangerous secret. This is a duology as well. Askia became heir to the Frozen Crown because of her devotion to her people. There is a mad emperor in a neighboring kingdom. They cannot stop the enemy's advancement, so she goes for a neighboring land to the south, to seek help from a ruler. She was a young woman raised in army camps, so she is ill-equipped to navigate political games. So a little fish out of water stuff. Enjoy it. Like it. Her every move sink her deeper into court intrigues that bewilder and repel her. And in the glittering court, secrets are worth more than gold. For Askia is a witch gifted with magical abilities, knowledge that can destroy not only her life, but her people. So she has to make an impossible choice, and no matter what she decides, it may not be enough to prevent her country's fall. So yeah, I'm going to I'm not reading any of these in June, just so you know. They are just I think it's August, ARC August, or is it ARC April? Well, whatever. I'll probably try these in August. Next, I do not believe this is an arc, but I did win it in a giveaway. This is a dragon from Guangzhou. I don't know how to pronounce that. I apologize. By D.W. Plato. This is a fantasy historical. During the Qing dynasty in 1801, pirates kidnap Mogu from a floating brothel. She began one of the most notorious adventures to take on the waters of South China. There was, I don't know if it was in 1801, but there was a pirate queen who, had brothels. So I think this is kind of based on that. She was a discarded daughter raised by nuns, and she was sold to work on a flower boat. Shrewd and determined to come out on top of each bad situation, Mogu prospers from golden opportunity with the pirates who kidnap her. Quickly adapting to sword fighting and collecting riches, she shows Zheng Yi and Po Tsai, I'm pretty sure I butchered those, more lucrative ways to live. I say that a lot because I know I've said them wrong. Mogu plunders Portuguese and British fleets, but she rises to each challenge, negotiating amnesty for her band of outlaws. She seeks a place of her own for peace and happiness. In her best book yet, D.W. Plato weaves an unforgettable tale of how one woman's strength leaves us inspired and thinking long after turning the last page. I got a little note as well from D.W. Plato. So, yeah. I'm excited to read this. It's probably 250 pages. Does that make it a novella? It's not very big, but I'm still super excited to try that. I might try this in July because it's not an arc. Next, the books that I won in the giveaway from Macmillan Tor. The first is The Black Tongue Thief. I've seen 2 people talk about this. And I don't remember what one said, and I didn't watch the other one. But I will after I read it. This is by Christopher Buhlman. Begin the journey of a lifetime. Does it have anything? Okay, here we go. Because it's an arc, it's in the cover. I'm not going to say that. Kinch owes the Takers Guild a small fortune for his education as a thief. His debt has driven him to lie in wait by the Old Forest Road, planning to rob the next traveler, but unfortunately he picked the wrong mark. Galva is a knight, a survivor of the brutal Goblin Wars, and, for probably the most important part, handmaiden of the goddess of death. Don't fuck with the gods or goddesses of death. She is searching for her queen, missing since a distant northern city fell to giants. Unsuccessful in his robbery and lucky to escape with his life, Kinch now finds his fates entangled with Galva's. Goblins hunger for human flesh, krakens, and honor is a luxury few can afford. So, that seems awesome. And I see a lot of covers doing this lately. Like it's black and white with the pop of a color. So I think that's pretty cool. I assume that's them right there. Yeah, I'm excited for this one. I'm excited. Next I have... Maybe I'll read them in July instead. Who knows? Next I have an arc. These are all uncorrected advanced reading copies. This is She Who Became the Sun, which I've heard Amrita talk about. And maybe somebody else. I can't remember. By Shelley Parker Chan. Mulan meets the Song of Achilles in a bold, queer, and lyrical reimagining of the rise of the founding of the Emperor of the Ming Dynasty. So, I didn't read the Song of Achilles, but I know about Achilles. I imagine the Song of Achilles doesn't have a happy ending because Achilles and Patroclus didn't have a happy ending. Mulan, however, the cartoon, had a very happy ending. Oh no, the cover. I'll just tape that up. Is there a... I think the Black Tongue Thief might be out by now, but I'm not sure. Oh, the first couple of pages are cut too. That's weird. Doesn't look like they're just summary. I can't even turn the bloody pages. Well, we'll figure this out, I suppose. Pages are in... We're gonna have to figure this out because the pages aren't in the right order. But that's why you get an uncorrected proof. So yeah. And if I can't read it, I'll just fucking buy it because I can't. And then finally, we have The Library of the Dead, Edinburgh Nights, Book 1, by T.L. Who? Sorry. And this is about Ropa, I believe. That's how you say it. She dropped out of school to become a ghost talker. She speaks to Edinburgh's dead, carrying messages to those they left behind. The dead, however, start whispering that someone's bewitching children, leaving them husks, empty of joy and strength. It's in Ropa City, so she feels honored bound to investigate. She will dice with death as she calls on Zimbabwean magic and Scottish pragmatism to hunt down clues. And although an underground Edinburgh hides a wealth of dark secrets, she also discovers an occult library, magical mentor, and some unexpected allies. Yet as shadow lengthens, will the hunter become the hunted? So I don't think I've heard anybody talk about this. But it sounds pretty fucking amazing, I have to say. Yeah, I've never heard of this before, but I am excited to give this a go. No, the pages don't really sort themselves. Okay, it seems to be in the right order, but the numbers are wrong. So hopefully it's in the right order and I can read it. But if not, oh well. But yeah, that's all I got. I'm excited for that. So, oh, it's a long video, but that's what happens when I don't do anything for a while. Oh, let me just put these back and then I'll sign off. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're having a lovely day. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.